Hey everyone, in today's video I'll be walking you through the full AirLift install, so part 4 of this air suspension install series. I'll be walking you through the trunk setup as well as the electricals and the wiring and having everything set up in the engine compartment. Now, when it comes to the wiring that we're going to need to fish through to the front of the car, there's actually here where the airbag, the side airbag was, there's actually this plastic plate which covers a hole out to the trunk of the car. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to notch out a portion of this plastic here, just because the channel itself is already full of wires, so there's no way I would be able to fit this loom through. So I'll be notching out a hole here and then routing it and attaching it to the proper channel, and then routing it all the way down in the back and through the floor, I guess, all the way out to the front. So I learned the hard way that you shouldn't do your notch all the way to the top here. Only the bottom corner should do the trick anyway. But yeah, once the hole is made, you're gonna want to use something like a coat hanger to fish the wires through, and just yeah, pull these out of there like so. Now once you've run the wires, the AirLift wires, from the back to the front, the next step is to remove this lower panel, which is held in by 3 very strong clips, or 4 very strong clips. So you'll need a panel removal tool such as this one, and then you'll have 3 10mm bolts at the bottom and 3 screws at the top, which will allow you to pull the glove box out and then access the grommet that goes to the engine bay. Now, in order to get to that grommet here, we're going to need to drill a small hole through it in order to pass the power wires through. And in order to get the drill to it, we're going to need to remove the battery, so that's what I'll do next. Now, when it comes to the signal wire, what we're going to want to do is pull out one of the fuel pump fuses, which is this one. And then we're going to install on it this small jumper that will allow us to connect to it with the provided fuse holder and fuse tap directly connected to the signal wire. So with that, all we need to do is plug this in and then plug the signal cable in. Now, before I close this box up, one thing we're going to want to do is remove the original air suspension fuse, because if we leave it in, the computer will throw fault codes. So very important to remove that fuse. Another fuse we need to remove is on the driver's side kick panel. In this junction box, it's actually quite easy to access. You just pull on it, remove the cap, and then this fuse, I've already removed it, but this fuse right here is a 20 amp for the air suspension. And just pull on it, remove that, and then you won't have any airs on the dash. Now, once we're under the car, there's this air line coming from the trunk into a 90-degree bend, and then a hard line going out to the front. And we're going to be reusing the grommet to pass our line, and we'll probably be attaching our line to the factory one in order to just keep it, and I guess whatever factory decided was a safe place for this line. So the first step in doing that is disconnecting here. There's I guess a nut or a fitting to be disconnected with a wrench, and then pulling it out of the trunk space to be able to reuse the grommet. These plastic channels over here are what we're going to be using. That's what the factory used for the air hard line. So we're going to be attaching our air line to the factory one all across this channel. So it's held in with these 10mm nuts. Just going to take that off and gain access to the lines. Now for the front right suspension strut, you can see the braided line in the engine bay. and I'll be connecting it to this airline here, and then tie wrapping it along the original airline. So the one on the complete left, the two other ones are the brake lines with the ABS sensor, but the one on the complete left is the original airline coming from the trunk. So I'm going to be attaching the new line to that line and then fishing it behind the heat shield and all the way to the back. Now once attached and connected, it'll look a little like this. So I've got 3 tie wraps holding it there, and I'll be continuing my way along the back. Prepping the tank is pretty much a plumber's job. So we're gonna need 1 output that goes into the manifold, 2 inputs that are gonna be directly from the compressors, and then a purge or fill backup port, which is the one at the bottom here, because water is potentially going to pool into the tank. There's humidity in the air, and when you compress it, usually it condenses. So obviously that's what these 2 are for. This is the purge valve that you pull on and it lets the air out. And this one is a Schrader valve, same as for a bike and or actually a car tire. And you can plug an external compressor into it if ever your compressors fail. So these 2 are pretty straightforward. They connect to the bottom. But then the other provided fittings just aren't going to do the trick. I guess AirLift are expecting you to connect the compressors directly into the tank, but the way I'm trying to place them, they're going to be too far away. So I needed extra fittings. This is what these are for. They're basically 90-degree fittings, such as this one that I bought off Amazon, and I'll be connecting them with adapters to the tank. Now, quick crash course on pipe fitting when it comes to, I guess, a plumber's job. These fittings and everything in the AirLift kit is all NPT, which is standard in 1/8, 1/4, and 3/8. So the 4 ports on my tank are 3/8, and the bottom one is 1/4, and then everything else on the kit is all 1/4 NPT. Then there's the other end, which is the PTC connectors, which are the push to connect, and those PTC connectors are either 1/4 or 3/8. So when you're buying pieces like this one, what I bought was a 1/4 NPT to 1/4 PTC right angle fitting. And since the ports here are 3/8, I bought a 3/8 to 1/4 fitting adapter. So I guess that's the quick crash course on understanding fittings. If ever you have your own configuration, you want to think about how you're going to route everything. Like I said, AirLift only provides us with the bare minimum in order to connect everything together and get it to work. But if you have a complex trunk setup, you're going to want to consider buying some extra stuff. Now, when it comes to the manifold, I have a bit of assembly to do. And that's because I bought, but they all come now. All kits come with the threaded port manifold instead of the push to connect manifold. So instead of just being able to connect the airline, I would have had to buy 1/4-inch fittings for all 6 ports, which I didn't buy because I didn't know that there was this change happening. So in order for it to work for me, I'm going to be assembling these push to connect fittings with an adapter so that it can fit right in there. Looking at the view from the gutted trunk, first off, obviously, is the wiring loom, which goes all the way to the front, to the battery. There's actually so much room in this trunk that I managed to put the manifold right here. So I drilled and installed riv nuts at the bottom here. All lines are going to go from here directly from the manifold, and the wiring harness can just plug in. There were also these standoffs that were already there, so I guess I just needed to take 10 mil nuts that I recouped from the front height sensors. And then of these 6 lines, the one here on the left is the exhaust. So I fished it out of the car. That way the exhaust, when we lower the car, will go directly outside. And then we have all other 5 lines. So the first one here is the tank line, and then it's the front and the rears. I have these wired, so obviously the rears go directly to the rear on both sides. And then the fronts, the front lines, I have passing through this grommet, both of which split out to the left and right side of the car and go to the front. And these 2 compressors are wired. They go all the way to the front and then loop back because the trunk carpet is directly on here. So I couldn't pass the wires through or else it would create a lump. And then the compressors, both lines will be wired directly to the tank. And then there is this filter, which is the inline filter from the output of the tank. So this is what this line is. This line is. It's the output of the tank. And then there's an arrow on top. You gotta be very cautious to put the arrow in the right way. So the air is coming out of the tank through this collector for water. And then that line is the one going to the manifold, into the tank port right here. Now, after a year of running my setup of these compressors directly riveted or riv nutted to the bottom of the trunk, I was having vibration issues. So what I'll be attempting here to fix that is this cheap Amazon Basics sound deadening material. It's some gooey tar that just absorbs vibrations. And my hope is that placing this here beneath the compressors will greatly reduce the amount of noise that is seeping through the cabin. Once you're done installing your suspension, the last step is to calibrate it. For that, you'll need a flat level surface and just go through the setup procedure for the air suspension and sit back and watch your car go up and down for about 10 to 15 minutes. I ended up setting my suspension to 100 psi in the front and 89 psi in the back. That's for normal ride height, as well as a little lower on the straights, and obviously 0 psi when I'm aired out and parked. As usual, I hope this video helped. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and follow for more.